All right, let's wrap this episode. Are we good, Rach?
Cool. All right, here we go. And that's all today, folks. Thanks again for presidential candidate. Rach, the teleprompter isn't working.
Yeah, it's not up right.
Yeah. What do you mean? I'm looking right at it. The teleprompter isn't working, Rachel.
What do you want to read a broken teleprompter?
Fine. We can do that.
And that's all today, folks. Thanks again for presidential candidate.
Jesus. Rach, what do you want us to do here? Like pull a pen out of our ass and write it ourselves, huh? Is that what you want?
Is that what you want, Rachel?
Is that what you want?
It.
It. You know what? We'll do it live.
We're doing it live. And that's all for today. That's all for Nude News. I'm Mark Ramson.
I'm Andrew Furman. Good night. Was it really that hard, Rachel? Done with the. Hello and welcome back to Nude News. I'm Andrew Furman.
And I'm Mark Ramson. On February 5th, the Senate voted to acquit President Donald Trump on his impeachment charges. Both votes came nowhere close to the two-thirds majority needed to remove the president from office.
The only senator to cross party lines was Senate bad boy and chocolate milk enthusiast Mitt Romney, who agreed that President Trump abused the power of his office. While explaining his vote, Romney stated that his promise before God while taking the oath of office required him to be an impartial justice and to put his personal feelings and political bias aside while voting. Romney has already received backlash from his decision, as President Trump has publicly spoken out against his decision to vote against his party. Back in Utah, a bill has been introduced in the state legislature to formally censure Senator Romney.
President Trump made his first pitch to 2020 voters at Tuesday's State of the Union address. The night began with President Trump's rebuff of Speaker Pelosi's handshake was caught on live television. The address contained its typical pomp and circumstance, with the president laying out an agenda through anecdotes using his invited guests to illustrate policy goals. The guests included a 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman, a man whose brother was killed by an undocumented immigrant, Juan Guaido, leader of the Venezuelan opposition to President Maduro, and most notably, Rush Limbaugh, who was awarded with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in the middle of Trump's speech. The president boasted his victories on trade, education, unemployment, immigration, along with other issues, claiming his first term was the beginning of a great American comeback.
The support for the president by his own party was evident throughout the night, with Republicans breaking into standing ovations several times and greeting the president with a chance of 4 more years. The sentiments of most Democrats was embodied by Speaker Pelosi tearing up her advanced copy of the speech on camera after the president concluded his remarks, and the 4 members of Congress who walked out of the chamber before the hour-long oration had concluded. These members included Representative Rashida Tlaib, Bill Parkrell, Tim Ryan, and Jackie Spear.
The Democratic response to the State of the Union was delivered by Governor Gretchen Whitmer, whose election was part of the 2018 Blue Wave, flipping Michigan's governor's mansion from red to blue. The response focused on the Democrats' plan to improve infrastructure, education, and healthcare coverage.
Despite the impeachment trials, Trump approval rating is at an all-time high of 49%. There are quite a few theories as to why this may be, including America's trust in his economic policies and the recent drone strike that killed Iranian commander Soleimani.
This Monday kicked off the start to what turned out to be a marathon caucus in Iowa.
But before we dive into the politics behind Iowa, let's first take a minute to understand the caucus system. Caucuses are long processes in which the community assembles in a designated building to decide which candidates receive delegate votes. The participants gather in the area of the room that corresponds with the candidate they like. If less than 15% of the people in the caucus do not support a particular candidate, that candidate is deemed to be no longer viable. Supporters of that candidate must then choose to support another candidate or exit the caucus. After the second alignment, whoever has the most support wins the delegate from that location. Let's be honest, Iowa's a big mess, with results not coming out until 14 hours after the caucus has ended, some impromptu victory speeches by just about everyone in the race, and even now, 3 days after the election took place, we still are missing a portion of the results from the Iowa Democratic Party.
The problem stems from the app, Shadow, used by the DNC to keep track of the caucus results throughout the day of the election. On the night of the election, Shadow failed to collect the data properly. Some point to concerns surrounding security breaches, as well as human error. Others are concerned about possible corruption. FEC documents prove that Pete Buttigieg donated $40,000 to the app company using campaign contributions. The Buttigieg team claims that they were paying for a service, but it does not provide good optics following the ever-growing drama surrounding Iowa.
In the midst of all of this, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Tom Perez, has called for a recount of the votes coming out of Iowa counties due to these complications. There is no update as of yet detailing when the recanvassing will occur or how long it will take.
And that's the Nude News. I'm Mark Ramson.
I'm Andrew Furman, and remember, size only matters when it comes to poll numbers.
And maybe caucus groups.
Very timely, Mark. See you next week.